Hello, good-looking people. Mark Major here. This is the Action Figure Atorium, and today I'm going to be doing yet another marketing analysis of an action figure Kickstarter. I love doing these, and if you've never seen these, you should go back and check out some of the ones I've done that cover things like Savage Crucible, Legendary, combat creatures, Cthulhu buddies. There's a ton of them. There's like 10 or more. In fact, I made a whole playlist. And we're going to do yet another one today. This is the Flip-Or campaign, and this is by a YouTuber who goes by the name of Mad Hatter. I do not know this guy's real name. I don't think it really is that big a deal if you don't know who this is. Some of you probably know who he is, but I have no idea. I just know him as Mad Hatter Reviews. And we're going to check out his campaign, and we're going to put it through the ringer that I've put all the other campaign analysis through. And we're going to take a look and see if this thing is got legs or not and has a chance of making it. So everybody strap on the leather and hold on tight. These are so much fun to do, by the way. I absolutely love looking at Kickstarter campaigns, and if they're good, I especially love to back them because it is fun to get really cool and unusual toys from indie creators, stuff that you can't get from some of these other guys, and today is an example of that. So let's switch over to our browser view and look at the Kickstarter. Whoa, look at that. Here we go. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to play the video that comes with it, but it's like a 5-minute long video, and I don't want to have just 5 minutes of my video being 5 minutes of this video. So I've skipped ahead to where this cat, Mad Hatter, is in a sort of character as the action figure that he is selling. I've got headphones right here so that I can jam along with it. And let's just watch the second half of this dog, and hopefully this will kind of clue in a little bit of what this campaign's about. All right, turning on desktop audio. It is on. Here we go.
Details. We got our own Flipper right here. Flipper Frank, take it away. Hey there, everybody. Flip-Or is here. Well, he's not really here. The Kickstarter is beginning right now. We are going to need a considerable amount of money to get this thing made.
$100,000.
But we tried to keep the cost of Flip-Or relatively low. Now, I wanted it to cost like $200 because, you know, it's a figure of me, and sky's the limit. But
low.
I've been told by counsel that we should try to keep it as low as we can
for
a boutique figure with action features. So Flip-Or is not $100. He's not $80. He's not $70. He's not $60. He is not even $50. He is $49. That's right. You can get
like 50
your
bucks,
own
but
Flip-Or action
good
figure
bit.
for $49 with flip-in action. Okay, just flipping all those toys right into his backpack. Comes with backpack. Comes with sunglasses. Comes with a pocket watch because he's got to know the time to go ahead and flip all his things. Come with money bag because he's got to get that money. And as we crawl up to our goal, he will come with other accessories that you can unlock that will come with the standard figure. Not only that, as he heads to the goal, you will open up options to get other Flip-Or figures. Stealth Flip-Or, Gold Flip-Or, Glow-in-the-Dark Flip-Or. But to make this even sweeter, Flip-Or is not the only action figure available, okay? Because for $44, you can also get this guy right here, the Flip-Bot. Yes, that's right. Flippers ain't no good without their bots to help them. And Flip-Or is no different, okay? You get this army builder for $44. He sort of looks like Flip-Or, but he's not really an army builder price. Comes with all this metallic stuff right there, and he comes with 2 scoops, so he can just be scooping stuff right into his backpack.
I do like the 2 scoops.
Bonus, if you get the bundle, comes with Flip-Or, 2 Flip-Bots. Okay, you got to have 2 flanking them right there. And packed into the 3-pack, you get a Flipper Frank head. That's right. Smiling Flipper Frank head. You put it right on your Flip-Or, and you can simulate all of your fun Flipper Frank action right there. And if you get the bundle, you get them all for the price of $130. That is a $7 savings on all of that stuff. Now, shipping is not included, but we are working with retailer extraordinary.
Okay, I think we've gotten the pitch. I think we're all good on this guy's Mad Hatter's sales pitch towards us. So what I like to do is I put all of these campaigns I look at I put him through the 3 best practices ringer. Essentially, it's another video I made in which I looked at a whole bunch of successful Kickstarters and I found out what were the main things about them that led to them being successful and more successful. That is, which ones made the most money. And the first thing was, you need 3-tier pricing. You need to have a cheap thing that everybody can buy. You need to have a deluxe thing for those that want to spend a little bit more but get a little more. And then you need a super expensive luxury thing for people who just are gratuitously rich and will buy the most expensive things simply because it exists. All right, that's the first thing. The second thing is that the more variety you have, the more things for people to buy. And that means, like, hey, if you don't dig the lizard man, then maybe you might like the boar man. Or if you don't like the barbarian, maybe you like buying the orc or something, right? And the third thing is that when you're doing these Kickstarters, you need to have all of your marketing all on one page. You don't like have people like, you know, looking on Facebook groups to see if you can find what the actual figures are going to be, things like that. Make it all combined into one spot. Okay, so with Mad Hatter's campaign, we're going to look and see what his rewards are. And you saw the little video there. He is selling the Flip-Or figure. By the way, for those wondering what a Flip-Or is, if you didn't catch it from his video, it's essentially a scalper. He didn't want to use the word scalper, which is probably a good idea. I think scalper might be considered derogatory towards certain ethnic groups. Just guessing. Also, it's just not the best term. I think flipper's, you know, I think it's a better way to go for this character. And so basically what it is people who go to retail stores, brick and mortar stores, Targets and Walmarts usually, that have exclusive figures or hard to find figures that come out in waves. They get in there early, they buy them all up, they put them online, eBay, that kind of thing, and then they flip them and they make money. Now, I have to let you guys know that I myself do not do this. I am too tired and too old to go anywhere, and so the farthest I will go to look for toys is 2 blocks from my house is a giant Goodwill, and I get up and I go there every morning and I find used thrift store price toys that I buy mainly for myself. But if I see something that I go, I know that Spider-Man or that Batman or that whatever, someone will pay money for it, and I rescue it. And when I say rescue, I mean it. It's like, if you do not buy those toys at the Goodwill, they go in the trash, okay? And these toys are lost forever. So my flipping is kind of, I look at it as a service to those people who might want this kind of stuff. And I do make a little bit of money, but I'll be honest, I usually make about $2 to $4 a figure, and it pays for an occasional coffee and scone. No one is making a living off of the flipping I'm doing. But I am a flipper. Let's be honest. What I'm doing sometimes on occasion is flipping. Also, check out some of my thrift store rescue videos on this channel. I find some interesting stuff all the time, and you'd be surprised what is out there. So he's selling a flipper figure, and it's 49 bucks. And then there is a repaint of the figure with a kind of an alternate face on it. That is the Flipbot, and that's 44 bucks. If you look at this, you can see that there's some other things like there's a digital comics bundle that comes included with these. It's probably some type of a PDF download that you probably immediately get when this thing closes. And that's kind of interesting. And there are some possible unlocks that are going on. Looks like he's unlocked the Stealth Guy, which is basically the same figure but with a repaint. And if we get to some other unlocks, there are other flippers that have some repaints. And this is kind of not a best practice, but a better practice that indie action figure creators in the 90s did. There was a whole bunch of these indie comics that were based on scantily clad women that came out, like Billy Tucci's She, Brian Paluto's Lady Death, who also had Lady Demon and Purgatory, all scantily clad. Then there was Angela. There was one called Witchblade. There was another one called, I think it was Dark Child, and these are just the ones off the top of my head. If you dig into these, you'll find that there's a whole bunch of them. Oh, Vampirilla. And what they did is they could only afford to get one mold, so they would have one figure, but then they would do these variants. So you could get them with like the red bikini or the black bikini, or maybe they came in a glow in the dark, or maybe they came in kind of like an all silver, or maybe they were a transparent, that kind of thing. And that was a good way to get your minimum quantity that the factory requires from you. So you get a whole bunch made of the regular figure, and then you have a few more cranked out of a different paint scheme. And you know, it's a really good way to squeeze a lot of SKUs out of a single mold. It's not the best practice, though. The best practice is what the original Mattel Motu people did, which is where they made several different bodies, and then they would swap the parts. So like if you bought a He-Man, you got a human legs and human torso and a He-Man head. But then if you bought another character, you might get the human torso, but you might get like the weird bird legs or the bird feet, and then you get a different head, and another guy would have the sort of the human legs and the weird, you know, furry body torso. And what you do is you made different characters by swapping different parts, and that is what is considered best practice in a you know, toy line as far as doing waves of figures. But if you cannot get all the different molds for all the different figures because it costs a lot to get involved in that, you're just going to get one mold and you're going to make variants. Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog did this. I think he went a bit far, doing no less than 5 variants of the Cyberfrog, which I think kind of used up a lot of ammo, but I understand to get to minimum quantity for your order, that's what you got to do. And so this is kind of no different. He's following that. I understand that. I'm not going to necessarily dock him. I'm going to give him a point. But it would have been ideal if you could have made multiple characters with multiple parts and then swap them to get around. I think that would be the best way to go. We'll see what happens. If this funds, and I think it is going to fund, because that Odious figure funded, and he was looking for about $100,000, I believe, and it just barely cleared with one figure only. I think he's going to get there, and if this funds, maybe he can do more characters, and maybe he can get into what I'm describing, where you can now all of a sudden make different, you know, swap arms and bodies and chests and stuff like that, especially since he's kind of using, Mad Hatter here is sort of using kind of the Motu buck in a way. So as we look through his offerings, it's clear that $50, in my opinion, takes you to what I would call a deluxe figure. He does not have a luxury item here. He does have a high-priced package of 1 flipper and 2 flip bots. That's how he came up with his luxury item. Okay, I'll grant him that. That's a point. He does not have a cheap thing that anybody can buy who wants to support this. Now, what would have been ideal, since obviously he's not going to put up more figures, is if you do something like, okay, buy the poster, or buy the physical comic book, or maybe buy the digital comic book, but it's like $1 or $5. Coins is one of these things I see people do. It's, you know, doing a tchotchke, some kind of a keychain or something. But that's sort of what's lacking. And if I could advise him upon launching, I would have said, hey, come up with some sort of keychain that you can crank out for cheap. He does have a t-shirt for sale that proceeds from that he's going to dump into his toy line. And it's a really cool design. You can't get it here, though. You got to get it on a separate site, on a print-to-order site. That's okay. I will grant him that. However, I still think in terms of the Kickstarter, it would have been best to have that sort of bottom of the pyramid thing. Okay, now, what else? The variety. You can get a flipper or a flip bot. I really think you got to have a minimum of sort of 4 figures, but I'm not really set on that. And also, you got to take into account that what he's doing is he's not necessarily about becoming a toy manufacturer and a toy line, and you know, he doesn't want to be the next Bobby Valla or one of these cats who wants to become a new toy manufacturer themselves and create their own line. He just has kind of a cool, fun Sort of egotistical, but in a fun way, vanity project that he wants to bring to life. And I'll be honest, I kind of hope he hits it. I hope this hits $100,000, and I hope this guy gets made. And I'm planning myself to actually throw down and back this. And of course, one of the great tactics you can do is the early bird special in order to try to force people through the gate in the beginning rather than at the end. Is you say, hey, if you're one of the first people to purchase, you get this thing. And in this case, what he's selling is you get a pair of hands where they're flipping you the bird because he's a flipper. I think that's a fun joke. I think that's a good way to go. Not quite the variety that I would like to see, but I think at a vanity project like this, I think it's okay. I think he's going to make it. The last thing is the marketing. Is it all sort of here on one page? And clearly he has... he is a YouTuber, so makes lots of videos, and he's already posting videos to the page as he goes, as things unlock, and I think that's pretty cool. And I have to say that I don't necessarily give a lot of opinions on the copy, the ad copy, the marketing copy that people write, and the sort of the nature of their graphics and images that people come with. I've sort of like laid low on that. I think most of these campaigns are plenty good sufficient. I've only seen a couple where I thought it was really lacking and really lame. And I think Mad Hatter's is really good. I think he's great at writing copy. I think he's great at dialogue. I think he's great as a pitch man. I think he's great at selling. And so everything I'm seeing here looks really good. Again, if there was one thing that I could complain about, and I do like to complain. I think complaining is where things improve and get better and where we all kind of go up a rung, as long as you're not just like looking for stuff to complain because that's your job to put out a complaint. But if I had to say one thing that I would say I'm unhappy with is I really think that $49 is kind of a lot, and I understand that that's what it's got to be to get this thing made and to make some money on it. And that I think he wants to clear a little bit of scratch on this. It would be interesting if he just wanted to have this made, right? Get a flipper made and get as many flippers out there into the world as possible so everybody had one on their desk and it sat there at their computer so that when they're watching their monitors, watching YouTube videos, out there surfing, that there's always a flipper there. If he was to take this and charge as close to his cost as he could, say his cost is, well, typically in products, things are usually known as A marks or B marks, and A mark is essentially you double what you pay for it. So if you paid $22.50 for it, or $25.50 or something, or $25, it would be $50, right? If he paid $25 a figure for these, if he was to just make barely enough, right, to cover his cost and a tiny bit more, right, to just cover any other fees that come up, essentially at the end of the day he comes out at, I'm going to say, zero money. He makes no money at this, but 300-400 people have flippers, right? I think that would be a fantastic statement. Okay, so before I close this video, and I know that where are we at? We're at the 18-minute mark, and that's probably way too long for anyone to sit here listening to me talk about anything, much less go on and on about marketing and Kickstarters. Last thing I am going to say in regards to this campaign and some other campaigns I've seen. So there's this cat out there that I'm sure everybody here knows. It goes by the name Shartimus Prime, and he is the #1 toy tuber, right? Because he has over 650,000 subscribers. When you have that many subscribers, you're the top dog. Now, I have seen memos that have been leaked from various toy companies talking about how when they launch their product, that they, as part of the marketing, they send free toys out to the top YouTubers, right? Because that's part of your marketing. That's how it gets seen. That's how people know about it. He sent one to everybody who's a big YouTuber. They get it, and of course they talk about it on their YouTube channel. They do reviews of it, things like that. And Shartimus Prime is the guy who, because he's number one, he gets everything, right? Why would you not? There's no marketing department out there who's sending out free samples to people would not send him one. It wouldn't make sense not to. Why? He's got 650,000 plus subscribers, okay? Now, he did a Kickstarter. It was called Street Humans, which at first I thought it was for just like 6-inch action figures that you could use as just generic background characters. Like you just need a guy hanging out by the pool or something, right? So he did the Street Humans. Turns out they were actually aliens in disguise as humans, as street humans. But he did this Kickstarter. He was asking for about $120,000, and he's the top dog who everybody sends their toy to, right, free, for him to review and to put on his channel, right? So you'd think that the guy who's the top dog would have such a reach, right, that he'd have such a market to you know, cast out to, that he would easily hit that mark, first of all. Second of all, that since he's the top guy and since his reviews carry the most weight, he would then know what people want. And he would say, look, I review toys for a living. Let me tell you what people want. They want this. And so it would seem that Shartimus Prime would be able to come up with the ultimate toy that everyone would be like, here's my money. Well, guess what? It didn't fund. It failed. It didn't fund poorly. I mean, he did collect a lot of, funds getting up there, but he didn't make it. And so if Mad Hatter, who has only about, 14,000 and change subscribers, right? If this guy funds, then let me tell you, this is the guy people are listening to. This is what people want to hear for opinions, right? And if he makes a toy and people want the toy that he's making, well, what does that tell you about the other guy? Anyways, thanks to everybody who's made it this far in the video. And as always, people, stay charged.